Dante's News Nation, what's going on, guys? So I wanted to talk about this story of two black teens getting beat up. Not only beat up, but jumped by not one, not two, but 5 white men. And as you guys seen in that mug shot, one of them was a heavyweight, we know for sure. And they were grown, because at least the one guy that was caught for this crime, he was 21 years old. And like I said, the teens, they were 15 years old. But before I go, into further detail and give you guys my commentary, let me go ahead and play the clip. Check out the story, guys.
It has the night off. We're starting tonight with some graphic images. You may have seen this floating around on Facebook. This is a 17-year-old, and you can just see the knots and gashes all over his face. His family tells Graham Elkins the teen and his friend were beaten during the Christmas Eve bonfire in St. James Parish. He's there with more on this story.
Elizabeth, this spot was filled with hundreds of people on Sunday night. That's dozens of potential witnesses. But as of Wednesday night, still no arrests by police. That's why the families of the victims say they're taking the case to social media.
It feels like it's about to be a pushover, and we're not going to let that go like that.
Lahoma Dumas says she was horrified Sunday night. Her 17-year-old son, Shannon, taken to the hospital after a brutal beating. 17 stitches later, he's doing okay. It says he still doesn't understand why the fight even started.
A white guy started talking to one of my black friend, and they were running there with each other, and she had a boyfriend, and her boyfriend got mad.
From there, Shannon said the conversation escalated, and more people gathered around.
And I asked him if he wanted to fight. So he was like, yeah, so I took my jacket off. When I took my jacket off, somebody hit me with a bottle. And I fell, and they hit me again, and I fell again, and they started jumping me.
He and his cousin Sam, who was also injured, insist they did not throw the first punches. They say 5 or 6 white teenagers surrounded them and attacked.
The dude's friends ended up sneaking me from behind, and they had put me by my hood on my jacket.
Sam has already been interviewed by police and given names of the boys he said were responsible. But these mothers feel like the case is not being taken seriously.
Now here to me, it's like when you wait, you're right. I feel like if they would have did that to them, they would have been in jail the same night.
To me, nothing is being done, and it's not right. They could have taken my son away from me that night. All I want is justice.
In the meantime, they're taking the case to Facebook. This post has already been shared over 1,000 times. They're asking anyone who saw what happened to step up.
And we have this breaking news just into our newsroom. Police say they've made an arrest in the case of the black teenagers beaten up at the Christmas Eve bonfires in St. James Parish. Graham Elkins has what we know right now. Graham?
Yeah, Donna, this just coming in the last 15 minutes from the St. James Parish Sheriff's Office. This is the man arrested, a 21-year-old Jordan Hitt. We're told he is now being charged with aggravated second-degree battery. Now, this has been the first and only arrest so far in this case. Last night at 10 o'clock, we brought you the story of the 2 victims here, the 2 young black teenagers who said they were targeted because of their race. Now, it's important to note here that the Sheriff's Office says that they are not convinced that the race or that this was necessarily a motive here. They are still investigating this. They're still asking people to come forward that may have more information on exactly what happened. But again, 21-year-old Jordan Hitt of Gramercy, Louisiana, is now charged with aggravated second-degree battery. This attack happened on the levee in Gramercy on Christmas Eve, really into Christmas morning, as those bonfires were still burning. So more arrests are possible, and again, it's not been confirmed that race was the motive.
Okay, so you just seen the story, you just heard the news, and what I thought was pretty interesting, the first thing that really stood out was looking at the comparison shot. When you look at the mug shot of Jordan Hitt side by side with Shannon Dumas, didn't that comparison shot look kind of familiar? If it did look familiar, it's because it looked a lot like the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman comparison profile picture, right? Now, I'm not trying to say that Jordan Hitt is the same type of monster that George Zimmerman is, but I just thought that was really, really interesting because the pictures damn near look identical. They damn near look identical. You got one man who's grown and he looks like a heavyweight, and then you have a teenager on the other side who looks a lot smaller and younger. So that was pretty interesting. Now, you heard the parents talk about the double standards, and they were basically saying how things would have been completely different if the roles were reversed. You heard the one mom, she said that when you're white, you're right. And we all know, unfortunately, that if this was 5 grown black men, could you guys imagine that? Can you imagine 5 grown black men jumping 2 teenage white kids because one of the black guy's girlfriend was talking to one of the 15-year-old white boys? Can you imagine how that would be perceived? We know exactly how that would be perceived. And we know exactly where all of them would be, all of those black grown men, where they would be right now. They would all be caught, they would all be in jail, and they probably would get 5 to 10 years in prison. 5 at a minimum, for committing what would be considered a heinous crime, right? So there's no doubt about it. You know, we could easily use tons of examples to expose the double standards. We know what time it is when it comes to that. But, you know, I am a little elated that they caught one of them, and he's going to get some jail time. Hopefully they don't give his ass some community service and, you know, let him off easy. Hopefully he does get some time. Now, just like the reporter was saying, I mean, yeah, there's not concrete evidence that this has something to do with race, but we all know the historical racial connotations when it comes to race relations in this country, especially when it involves a white woman and a black man. So it's not a surprise that this played out that way, especially the fact that, you know, once again, you had five grown men going up against 2 teenage boys. Now, who knows how these 5 white men would have reacted if the black teenagers weren't teenagers and it was 5 black grown men. Now, we really don't know how, you know, these 5 white grown men, how they would have reacted if the teenagers weren't teenagers and they were grown men. In fact, it wasn't 2 of them, it was 5 of them as well. We don't really know how these 5 white grown men would have reacted. But we know how they reacted and responded in this situation. And, you know, once again, hopefully there's other arrests, because there were 4 other grown men that's most likely going to be grown men that were involved in this situation. So, you know, that's pretty much my take on the situation. This is my first Dante's News Nation video. I want you guys to make sure you subscribe to my main channel, Dante's Boxing Nation, for all your boxing news, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.